Welcome. Today we're going to be solving equations using the distributive property. So the first problem is 4 times x plus 5 equals 24. Now the goal here is to figure out what x's answer is. A number next to a parentheses means multiply. So we're going to take this 4 and distribute it to both terms in the parentheses. So the new equation is now 4x because 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 5 is 20, and that equals 24. Now, to solve a letter, you want all of the numbers together on one side and all of the x-like terms together on the other side. So we're going to move this 20 over to this side, and to move, you undo what it says. So because this says plus 20, we're going to subtract 20 to move it. So now there's nothing left on the left except for the 4x. And then over here on the right, 24 minus 20 is 4. So to get the x completely alone, a number next to a letter means multiply. To undo multiplication, we're going to divide. So since 4 divided by 4 is 1x, or just plain x, equals 1. Now, the great thing about this unit is you can go back and check to make sure you did this problem right. So we're going to take 1 and plug it back into that x and just make sure we're right. So 4 times, instead of x, we're going to put a 1 in there. So 1 plus 5, 1 because that's our answer right here. And the question is, does that equal 24? Well, 1 plus 5 is 6 because order of operations, PENDAS, parentheses we're going to do first, and then we're going to multiply, and yes, 24 is equal to 24. So we are 100% positive this is the correct answer. Next problem, 2 times 6x plus 4 equals 48. So again, the first step would be to get rid of the parentheses. We can't add these together because x's and numbers don't add. So we're going to distribute the 2 to both terms in the parentheses to get rid of that parentheses. 2 times 6 is 12x, 2 times 6x. 2 times 4 is 8. And that is equal to 48. Now, to get the x alone, we need to get all of the letters to one side and all of the numbers to the opposite side of the equal sign. So we're going to take this x and move it. Because it's a plus x, we're moving it by subtracting. So now we have 12x equals 48 minus 8, which is 40. This cancels, which is what we want. So to get the x alone, we need to undo this 12 through division because a number next to a letter means multiply. So we're going to divide by 12. So this answer is 40 divided by 12. Now, those are both even numbers, so we could reduce that. We could divide both of them by 2. If you see that you can divide both of them by 4, go ahead and do that. I'll just do 2 first, and then I'll do 2 again. So we have 10 thirds. Now, this can't be reduced anymore. That's also, if you divided 10 divided by 3, 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9, and you have 1 left over. So it's 3 1/3. So you don't need to be afraid of these fractions. And this fraction is actually pretty easy to plug in. So let's plug it in and check. We're going to plug 10 thirds into that x to check. So 2 times 6 times 10 thirds plus 4 is equal to 48. That's the question. We're trying to see if it's right. And if it is right, then we know we're correct. Now, 6 is the same thing as 6 over 1. So 6 times 10 is 60. And 60 thirds, 3 times 1, is 60 divided by 3, which is 20. So this is really 20 plus 24. So this right here equals 20. So 2 times 24 is 48. So now you are 100% certain that's correct. It doesn't matter if you write it as 10/3 or as 3 1/3, but when you plug in to check, it might be easier to plug the fraction in, but you can totally plug the mixed number in too, whatever works for you. We have -5 minus 2x minus 3 is equal to -45. That's a lot of negatives. So the first step is going to be to distribute the -5. Now, a negative times a negative is a positive. So -5 times -2x is positive 10x. -5 minus 3 is positive 15. Now, I like to take the minuses and always make them plus and change the sign behind it. Plus a negative is the same thing as minus. So this is 10x plus 15 because it's a -5 times a -3. If you wrote 10x minus -15, that's right too. Minus a negative is also plus a positive. And that's equal to -45. So again, to solve for x, we're going to move the 15 over. So 10x is equal to -45 plus -15. You could make that plus a negative, same as minus 15. That's equal to 60. Negative. And then we're going to divide both sides by 10. And your answer is -6. And then why not check it? So whip this up into the x. So -5 times -2 times -6, we're right here, plus -3, is that equal to -45? So -6 times -2 is positive 12. So positive 12 plus -3 or minus 3 is 9. So is -5 times 9 equal to -45? Yes, it is. So that's correct. Here we have 3 times -x plus 6 equals -9. So the first step again is going to be to distribute. A number next to a parentheses means multiply. So 3 times -x, that's the same thing as -1x. You could put a 1 there if that's helpful. That's -3x. 3 times 6 is 18. And then we have our -9 over here. So again, their letters are on the left. We can move the numbers to the right by subtracting 18. This is a -9 minus 18. The same thing as -9 plus -18. So that's -3x left on the left. And this is -27. And then to solve for x, you're going to divide by that -3. So x is now equal to -27 over -3, which is the number 9. And then again, let's check that work. So is 3 times negative, and then plug the 9 in, because it was -x, plus 6 equal to -9. So 3 times -6 plus 9 is -3. Is that equal to -9? Yes, it is. Another right answer. The next fun problem is 5x plus 3 times parentheses of x plus 4 equaling 28. So let's go ahead and get these parentheses gone first through distribution. We still have this 5x over here, but now we have 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times 4, which is 12, equaling 28. So this 5x and this 3x, they can be added together. They're on the same side of the equal sign. So when you put them together, you don't do the opposite. You just put them together. 5x and 3x is 8x. The 12, I'll go ahead and write this whole thing out. The 12, we're going to move to the other side by doing the opposite. That's when you do the opposite. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. So now you have 8x equals 16. You could have subtracted this 12 first. The order doesn't matter. You're going to end up here regardless of which one you do. When the last step is isolating the x, you're going to divide by 8, and so x is equal to 2. Let's check the work. This time we're going to plug 2 into both of these x's. So it's 5 times 2 plus 3 times 2 plus 4 equal to 28? Well, that's a good question. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 plus 4 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. So is 10 plus 18 equal to 28? You can do an internal celebration knowing that that answer is correct. I bet you're an expert at this now. So go ahead and try this one and hit pause and see how you do. This is pulling in the negatives and the like terms. So it's 6x minus 2 times x minus 5 equals 42. When you have the answer, hit play and I'll go over it. All right, so the first step is going to be to distribute this negative 2. It's a negative 2 you're distributing. If that's confusing, I would make this a plus and put the negative right next to the 2. I kind of call that slash and dash, like you're making the minus a plus and changing the sign behind it. You can always do that. Minus is always plus a negative. So you have 6x plus negative 2x plus, now be careful because this is a negative 2 times a minus 5. That's the same thing as plus a negative 5. So you should have gotten a positive 10. If the negatives are tricky, don't worry. Just really look at them. If they're like red alerts, so don't let them confuse you. Equals 42. So now the 6x and the 2x are on the same side of the equation. So you're just going to put that together as it reads. 6x minus 2x is 4x. You could have subtracted the 10 first. That's completely great. So here we're now going to minus 10. So our result is all of the letters on one side happens to be the left. All of the numbers on the other side happens to be the right. To get the letter alone, you're going to divide by 4, and your solution is x equals 8. But let's check that. Plugging it into this x and this x. So here we go. 6, and then instead of x, you're plugging in 8. 6 times 8 plus negative 2, you could put minus 2, times 8. You could put plus negative 5 or minus 5, means the same thing. Does that equal 42? Well, 6 times 8 is 48. You could add these together in the parentheses to get a 3, and negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So yes, that does equal 42. We're on a roll. Now we have 3 times y minus 1 plus 2 times y plus 3 equals 18. The letters don't always have to be an x. It can be any letter. As long as they're the same, we can put them together. So looking at this lovely problem, we're going to want to get rid of the parentheses, and we have that here and here. So we're going to distribute the 3 here. We're also going to distribute the 2 here. And I'm already noticing this minus, and I'm going to make that plus a negative just because I don't want to lose that negative. You don't have to do that. Totally an option. So if you think you can do this, go ahead and hit pause and play when you get the answer. So 3y plus negative 3 plus, and then 2y plus 6, 2 times 3 equals 18. If you just have minus 3 here, it's the same thing. Great work. So now we have this y on the same side, and we also have this number on the same side. So let's put both of those equal terms together. So 3y plus 2y is 5y. And we can go ahead and write the whole thing out if you would like. And then we can put the negative 3 and the 6 together, and that gives positive 3. So right now we have 5y plus 3 equals 18. You could do both of these steps in one and arrive straight here also. So to get the y alone, now we're going to do the opposite to 3 to move it over. So right here we have 0 left, which means it's moved. And 18 minus 3 is 15. This is very exciting. It's another lovely whole number. So when you divide by 5, you're going to get 3. But let's check that work. We're going to plug it into both y's. This one and this one. So 3 times, now we're at this 3 with this y. 3 minus 1, you could put plus negative 1, plus 2 times 3 plus 3. Does that equal 18? So 3 times 3 minus 1 is 2, plus 2 times 3 plus 3 is 6. does that equal 18? This is a question. If it does, we did it right. So 6 plus 12, yes, that does equal 18. This is like the best day ever. Why? All right, our next problem is 2 times 3x plus 7 equals negative times 14 plus x. Now, the first thing I'm noticing are these minuses. So I'm going to make this plus a negative. So 3x plus negative 7. Again, this is optional. And this negative right here, it's the same thing as a negative 1 outside of that parentheses. You don't have to put the 1 there. You could simply just distribute the negative. So here we go. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. And then that's equal to negative 1 times 14 is negative 14. And negative 1 times x is negative 1x. You could also just have negative x. So this time we have letters on both sides and numbers on both sides. We want to get all the letters to one side. I like my letters on the left. It doesn't matter though. And all the numbers to the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead and move my letter to the left. There's actually 4 correct first steps here. You can move any of these to the opposite side. So this is just one option. In fact, if you have a different way, go ahead and hit pause and solve it and see if we get the right answer. So I'm going to add 1x. So 7x plus negative 14 is equal to negative 14. So now that the x's are together on the left, the numbers need to be together on the right. So add 14. So 7x equals negative 14 plus 14 is 0. This is doable. This is an answer because when you divide by 7, 0 divided by anything is just 0. So let's plug that in and check. So 2 times 3 times 0, and then you could either put plus negative 7 or minus 7 equals, and then it's either negative or negative 1 times 14 plus 0. So 3 times 0 is 0. So this is really 2 times 0 minus 7. So that's 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14. And then 14 plus 0 is just 14. So negative 1 times 14 is negative 14. So we did another problem right. Our newest problem is negative 2 times n minus 4 plus 7 equals 30 plus n. So we're going to multiply through distribution this negative 2 to both. I'm noticing this minus 4. So right away I'm going to make it plus a negative. Again, that's optional. So negative 2 times n is negative 2n. And negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. You can pause this and see if you get the same answer as me. Always an option. So we still have the plus 7 equals 30 plus n. So I'm noticing that the 8 and the 7 are on the same side of the equation. So I'm going to go ahead and put those together right now. There are multiple correct steps here. You could literally move any of these to the opposite side. So 8 and 7 is 15. So now n is the same thing as 1n. So there's letters on both sides and there's numbers on both sides. We need to get all of the letters together on one side and all of the numbers together on the opposite side. It doesn't matter which side. I like my letters on the left, so I'm probably going to move this n over, but it might be smarter to move this n over here and get everything positive. We'll get the same answer no matter which way we do it. So you try your way, I'm going to try my way. So by subtracting the 1n, we have negative 3n on the left. Whoa. Equals 30. That's that 30. And then we're going to subtract 15. So negative 3n is equal to 15. And then to get the n alone, you divide by negative 3. So n is equal to negative 5. Let's check that. Back up here. So -2, and then instead of n, we're plugging -5 in, and then you can either put -4 or plus -4. And then we have the +7. Does that equal 30 plus n, which is -5? So you could put -5 or plus -5. So I'm going to put together the things in the parentheses because, again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS is order of operations, and it says to do parentheses first, exponent second, multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. So I'm going to go ahead and put these together in the parentheses. So -2 times -5 plus -4 is -9. And then we still have +7. Is that equal to 30 minus 5? -2 times -9 is +18. And 18 plus 7 is 25. And guess what? 30 minus 5 is also 25. Math is just so fantastic. So n equals -5 is definitely correct. We're going to do one more grand finale problem. Why not end with fractions? So -1/2 equals 3/2 times k plus 1. So you're looking at this, you're not concerned. You can definitely work with fractions. I'm just going to leave it as an improper fraction because for me it's easier to plug improper fractions in to check work. If you want to divide this out and make it a mixed number, you're more than welcome to do that. So starting with the distribution. The distribution's on the right this time. That's totally fine. So -1/2 is equal to, remember the k without a number in front of it's the same thing as a 1k. So 3/2 times 1 is just 3/2. And then this 3/2 times 1 is also 3/2. Now, it might be a good idea to just multiply everything by 2 since it's all divided by 2. But I'm going to just bring the numbers together. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 3/2 from both sides. -1/2 minus 3/2. -1/2 minus 3/2. -1/2 plus -3/2 is -4/2. If you have the same denominator, you just add or subtract the numerators. And -4/2 is a whole number. It's -2. So now we have -2 equaling 3/2 k. Now to get rid of this fraction next to a letter, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So to get rid of a 3/2, you can multiply that by 2/3. What you do to one side, you need to do to the other side to keep the balance. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 2 is 6. So all of this ends up giving you just the 1k. And then a -2 is the same thing as a -2 over 1. So -2 times 2 is -4. So this k is actually equal to -4/3. You know we're going to plug that in and check it. This is so doable. So -1/2 is equal to 3/2 times k, which is -4/3 plus 1. Now to add fractions, it's a lot easier if you have a common denominator. So 1, I'm going to rewrite this as 3/3 because 3/3 is the same exact thing as 1. And I'm using thirds because of that 3. So -4/3 plus 3/3 is -1/3. -4 plus 3 is -1. So now we have this 3/2 times -1/3. So you could multiply this across and get -3 because 3 times -1 is -3. And 2 times 3 is 6. Or you could reduce these 3's and go straight to the -1/2. And you're going to get the -1/2 by reducing that fraction by dividing both by 3. So check it out. -1/2 is equal to -1/2. What an excellent way to end a fabulous day of learning math. Hope you learned something and enjoyed it while doing it. Have a great day.